Good morning, guys, from 11-8 on the Rock of Ages approach to Wilson Peak. Today, Will and I are going to be doing Wilson Peak and then hopefully adding Gladstone Peak, which is a Centennial. This was one of my favorite 14ers, so I'm really stoked to be doing it again. We did the El Diente Mount Wilson Traverse together a couple years ago, and that was a super fun time, so we're super excited to be back in the San Juans and hopefully get another peak in.
Yeah, I'm excited to be back after a year of absence.
That's true. ACL is all healed up. We missed him on the channel last year, so it's good to be back.
2 healthy knees now.
It's gonna be a sick day. See you guys out there. Alright guys, let's talk about Wilson Peak and Gladstone Peak. Wilson Peak was one of my favorite 14ers the first time I did it, so I was super happy to be able to repeat this. And then Gladstone Peak was a super awesome peak to add on. It's a Centennial and it's no small feat. On the map right now, you can see the 3 14ers as well as Gladstone Peak that are all in this area. Wilson Peak has 2 main approaches. You either approach it from the Rock of Ages trailhead, that's what we did, or you can approach it from the Navajo Basin trailhead. The Navajo Basin approach is popular when you're trying to tag all the summits in the area in one trip, but if you're just doing Wilson Peak by itself, the Rock of Ages approach is very popular because it's quite a bit shorter. The approach up to Wilson Peak using either approach is all class 1, and it really starts to get interesting once you're at the Rock of Ages saddle. So zooming in here, once you're on the Rock of Ages saddle, you wrap around on some loose-ish trail to where you cross over this ridge line between Wilson Peak and Gladstone. This is the mark where you're going to turn to start coming towards Gladstone if you want to add that on the way back. Right after you drop over this ridge line, this is where the scrambling on Wilson Peak starts. There's these ledges. Depending on where you cross them, these might be the hardest moves of the day if you're just doing Wilson Peak. If you cross them higher up, it definitely is more technical. If you drop further down, they do get easier, and actually you can drop all the way down and avoid them entirely if you want. But most people cross them somewhere where you have to do some scrambling, as it's a good introduction to the class 3 scrambling up toward the top of Wilson Peak. Once you're over these ledges, you're on some loose trail all the way up to the false summit of Wilson Peak. Once you gain the false summit of Wilson Peak, you have to down climb like 100 vert of like class 3 minus terrain, and then you're in the really fun class 3 scrambling all the way up to the summit. The rock quality here is very good. It is exposed class 3, but this is what people came for. It doesn't dip into class 4. If you start getting into class 4 terrain, you're probably off route. If you want to add Gladstone Peak on the descent, right after you cross these ledges on the way back down, you're going to get on this ridge line that leads you all the way to Gladstone. From here to the summit and back is only like 1.6 miles and about 1,000 vert, but it is very time consuming. It took me and Will 5 hours to go to the summit and then back from here. Starting out on the ridge line, it starts easy. You're able to make good time for quite a while until you start getting to some kind of cruxier down climbs. Everyone loves to show you this photo of this class 4 down climb. I am of the opinion, and I know a lot of people feel this way, that this likely won't be the hardest moves you make of the day. It is definitely possible to keep this as the crux of the route, but me and Will definitely made moves at other points on the traverse that were definitely harder than this, and I think most people do that too. That being said, this down climb did have good rock, actually in contrast to many other parts of the ridgeline. But as well, this part, if this is a limiting factor for you, it is avoidable. We did take a look at the class 3 variation avoiding this. That definitely didn't seem very hard to do. And one nice thing about this traverse is actually at most points along the ridgeline, you actually can bail off uphill hikers left down into this basin if you need to avoid weather or escape because you're feeling uncomfortable or whatever. Once you're about 3/4 of the way through the ridgeline, this is where you start ascending up to Gladstone. The rock quality really goes to squat here. Whether you stay truly to the ridgeline or a little off to the ridgeline, it's up to you. We kind of alternated, but then once you're there, you just got to make your way through the jungle blocks all the way up to the summit. Do keep in mind that once you're up here, you do have to make your way all the way back, and it took us about as long, if not even a little bit longer on the way back, so make sure there's good weather when you attempt this. But Gladstone is a super sick peak, great thing to add with Wilson Peak.
Let's go over the last 6 months, right? There's a week here and there.
we made it to the saddle. You can see El Diente, Mount Wilson. This is the traverse we did. I'll leave that linked in the description if you guys want to check that out. This is Gladstone, and Wilson is kind of right behind. This is the false summit. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Hoorah. Woo! Let's go, brother. Good work. That was sweet. All right, we made it. Summit of Wilson Peak. It was a sweet morning. Had a ton of fun.
It was dope. It was a perfectly like fun scramble, like especially that last section. Great class 3 stuff, engaging, but also like good rocks. That was awesome. It's good to be back up here. Good to be back on the stone, and yeah, about to make our way to Gladstone.
think I feel pretty good about that. Okay. That's actually good. Okay. These are all actually pretty good. Let's go, dude. That was sweet. And now the long, arduous descent back across the ridge line. All right, we're almost there. Made it. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this episode. We had a ton of fun today doing Wilson Peak and Gladstone Peak. Car to car, it took about 11 hours. It was 10.7 miles. What did I say? Maybe I said 10.8 miles.
Yeah, 10.8.
10.8 miles, and I recorded it at 4,700 vert for both peaks. I would give like Wilson Peak like an 8 out of 10. That peak is so fun.
It was a great peak. It was my first time doing it. It was really fun, especially that like last section of it.
Gladstone Peak was really fun too, the Centennial. That one I think is described pretty accurately. I would say was like the rock quality was okay, not horrible, not great. Nothing was like too sketchy, but like, you know, it was a good challenge for me.
Yeah. Good challenge indeed.
We love the San Juans. It was an awesome day. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you later.
Peace.